Hello and welcome to another episode of Pixel Distorts. This is episode 3 and today again we are gonna do a GIMP tutorial. This time I'll be doing a tutorial on adjusting the levels of brightness and some amount of color correction too. So I'll go ahead and open up GIMP. And I'll open the image which I'll be using today. This is an image of a marketplace. And this is the image. As you can see, it has a slight muddish color over there. It feels so ugly when you look at it. So this is the basic image we'll be using today. What we'll do is adjust the color levels of this so that it has a pleasable color to begin with. Next we're gonna do some color correction so that the stain will be removed from the image. This kind of muddy color stain will be removed from the image. So let's start. So I'll go ahead and duplicate this image once and let's see what the built-in tools within GIMP can do to this image. First of all, I'll be adjusting the levels. So I'll go to colors, auto, white balance. So this should automatically adjust the white balance of the image. So this is the out. So I'm gonna save this as auto WB for white balance. Okay, now that I have that white balance thing set up, I'll just duplicate that layer. So I'll have a copy of that, and to this I'm gonna do some color correction. So I'll go to colors, auto, color enhance. Is this what we need? No, not at all. So as you can see, sometimes even advanced software like GIMP and Photoshop and Illustrator, even these things can go wrong in predicting the actual colors of a photo. So that sometimes happens because of bad color ranging within the captured image, or even picking up bad range of colors by the software itself. So this is the color corrected image from the GIMP software, which I don't like at all. Anyway, I'm gonna name this as auto white balance CC for color correction. Okay, now that we have seen what GIMP could do with its preset values, let's see what some manual white balance and color correction would look like. So I'm gonna hide these two layers for the time being. I'm gonna duplicate the market image again. I'm gonna save this as manual white balance. Okay, so this is a lengthy procedure, so bear with me. I'm gonna go to the colors menu and click on threshold. What threshold does is it just takes these values and puts a histogram in front of us like this, and it has a slider over here with a black point black point slider and a white point slider. As you can see here, it starts off with the black color, gradually goes into a grayish gray color, then gradually transitions into a white color. So this actually indicates the shadow area of the image, the midtones and the highlights, indicated by black, gray and white. You can see a histogram over here. Now this histogram actually represents the colors which indicate these range of tones. So we don't have any tones right now in the shadow area, which is bad. We have a high amount of presence of the colors in the midtone range, which is not bad, and we have a certain amount of colors in the highlights area too. So what am I gonna do with this threshold tool? I'm gonna select the brightest point within this image. To do that, I'm gonna set the white point slider to the right so that it is always to the highest, 255 to be precise, and I'm going to slide the black point layer towards right so its value just increases. So I'll just go to 255 and see what happens. So when I go to 255, I have these in the image. I can see I have some white patches in a dark background. So this is my point of interest. See, I have some white pixels over here which represents the brightest points in the image. So if you look at this image, you can see this area, it has the brightest white from what I can see in this image. So I'll just cancel this to confirm it. Okay, you have some white range over here. I'll just go back to threshold and see. This is the umbrella, if you remember, and this is the boy's t-shirt color, that is white. So if I do a manual comparison, I see this white t-shirt is more brighter than this umbrella. So I'll choose my brightest white point as this t-shirt. So this is a method called sampling. So what I do is I'll go to the levels tool and the colors menu. You have three pickers over here. First is the pick black point, then the pick gray point and the pick white point. Now these are used to manually set the white, meaning the brightest point in our image, or black point, meaning the darkest point in our image, and the gray point, meaning the neutral point in our image. So I'm gonna click on the white, pick white point picker. So you can see it's highlighted over there, and to the right you have something called levels histogram. You can either choose a linear histogram, as you can see here, or a logarithmic histogram, as you can see here. These are all the math involved in choosing levels. For the matter of fact, I don't care which histogram is used. I better go with the linear histogram. And here we have something called sample average. You can set the amount amount of radius you want to extract out of this. So I'll just slide it back to 3. So it just takes 3 random a radius of 3 pixels from the point I click on. So if I click on this pixel right over here, around this pixel it will just select 3 more pixels for our sample. That is the meaning of this radius. So you can increase the radius so the sampling size will increase, or you can decrease the radius to decrease the sampling size. If you don't want sampling at all, you can do one thing. You can just uncheck the sample average, so it will just pick 1 pixel from whatever we select. That is the actual pixel we select itself. So that is not what we want right now, because we have a good range of colors over here. So I'll just go and take sample average and I'll give a radius of 3, which is the default. So with the white point picker selected, I'm just gonna click over here, and this seems to be a good spot. I'll click over there, and as soon as you click, you can see a change in colors already. So if I go undo that, this was before I picked the color, and this is, oops, I don't think it took the colors, so I'll just do it again and highlight this white picker and pick that point and click on OK. So it created a levels thing in the undo box, so that confirms that there is some amount of color correction level correction happen. So it shows brightest point in our image. The next is choosing the darkest point. To do that, we'll go back to the threshold dialog box and we'll choose the darkest point here. So I'll set the black point slider to 0 and try to bring the white point slider to 0. If I bring the white point slider to 0, I get nothing, just a black canvas. This is because our histogram reveals it that there isn't any data in that range. So we need to slide the white pointer slightly until we get there. We get these things in the histogram visible in the area. So if I just slide it over there, you can see there are some points appearing, and if you just cancel this, you can see it is the dark points picked up by the shadow of this guy's shirt and the shadow of the leaves over here. So I'll just go to threshold again, choose the darkest point again. So by manual comparison, I guess the shades of the leaves are more darker than the shadow of this guy's shirt. So I'll just mark the coordinates. I'll choose this, so I can see a coordinate of, I can see the coordinates here. You can see an x comma y coordinate here. So if I move my mouse over there, you can see it's 50, 43 like that. So I'll just choose a midpoint over here. It's 5783. So I'll just do what I did earlier. Go to colors, go to levels. This time I'm going to choose the black point color picker. Just go here. If I remember correctly, it was something 48. Oops, I think I forgot that. It's okay, I'll just go back to threshold. It's 54,783. 54,783. So I'll just take the black point. 54,783. 50. Just search until you get there. 52, 54, 783. 783 should be up. No, down. Up. 58, 783. Okay, that's it. Click on that, or was it 5783? Just click there. Okay, 53, 785, whatever. You can see the color already changed. You can zoom back. You can see it already looks quite better now. I'll just click on OK. So now we have our brightest point selected, our darkest point selected. Now what about the midtones? You can manually go zoom in and check which is the brightest point or which is the darkest point. But what about the midtones? What about that neutral gray that you want to achieve? Well, it's not that straightforward. You can't just go around the image looking for the gray point, but there is a trick to do that. So I'll just change the foreground color to that neutral gray. Now neutral gray is nothing but a gray with red value of 128, green value of 128, and blue value of 128. You should get an HTML notation of 80 80 80 like this. That confirms that you have the neutral gray selected, and this is the neutral gray. So I'll just click on OK. So I have the foreground set neutral gray. What I'm gonna do now is create a new layer and pick that foreground color as the fill type and click on OK. So I have a new layer with this neutral gray as the background color. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this layer to difference as a difference of this layer. So to do that, I'll just click on this layer. By the way, I'm gonna go to the mode and select on difference. So this layer will differ itself with the values underneath that layer. So I have this layer visible, which for the most part is the image that was visible before this layer. So when I have this layer on top of that, this layer just extract out this color and makes it a difference of this. So differencing is nothing but taking this color and choosing that color from this image and making it brighter to look brighter in the final image. So this is the layer mode we have selected. We have selected the layer mode of difference, so it has chosen the neutral gray from this layer and made it white for our visibility. So with this setup I think it's easier to find gray, as all the gray is now turned into a sort of whitish color. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I need this setup as a new layer as itself. So I'll just go to layer and click on new from visible. So a new layer will be created with this whatever is visible on screen right now. So I don't need this layer anymore, so I'm gonna delete that. I'm gonna rename this visible layer as gray, sorry about that, gray layer. So with that I'm gonna select the gray layer and do the normal steps again. Go to colors, threshold. As you can see, because we had made a difference of that gray color, all the tones from the mid-tone to the highlights are just washed away. All you have right now is the shadows up till the midpoint. So to get a gray point, I just slide the black point to 0 and slide the white point to touch 0. So if you just touch 0, you can see there's nothing. So I'll just keep on increasing the white point slider. There you go, you get some visible things over here. And note that it is at the 8th position, so I'm just gonna click on cancel and see what this thing over here is. And if it is a gray color, I'm so lucky to have a gray color right away. So I'll just click on cancel and check what this thing is. It looks as if the brightest white I can see on this canvas, so I am convinced that this is one or the other shade of gray, which is more closer to the neutral gray. So I'm just gonna click on cancel and see what that is. I'll just hide this. Yeah, as you can see, it's a gray t-shirt of a woman. So that will be our next sample for the gray point. So I just go to the manual WB layer, go to colors, levels. This time click on the gray point picker and just sample that area. There you go. So we have all the 3 points right now. We had first set the white point, then the black point. Remember, the first point, white point, was this guy's t-shirt. The black point was the shade under the plants, and the gray point is the t-shirt of this lady. So I'll just click on OK to confirm my selections. So that is our manually set level correction or manual white balance. So I'll just compare this with the automatic white balancing of GIMP. So I'll just check this layer. This was the automatic level balancing of GIMP, and this is our manual effort. I think colors are preserved more in the manual effort than the automatic method. You can see the automatic method just went a long distance and just made it the whole picture to seem brighter, but the colors got washed away in the process. So I would recommend going for a manual white balancing, as I have done here. So this is our white balanced image. Looks pretty good, but still, if you look closer, you have that kind of muddy stain over the image. The next step is removing that muddy stain. So we are gonna do a slight color correction over this image. So what we're gonna do is gonna duplicate this image once. We get a copy of that. We're gonna call this as, pardon me, we're gonna call this as average, AVG for average. And what this layer is meant for, I'm gonna explain now. You see, any image will have an average color, a dominant color which is over the image. So if I just choose a white background, the dominant color is obviously the white background. But if I put a dot in the middle of a white background, if I put a black dot in the middle of a white background, then the average color will be a shade of gray. So that is the average color. Average color is nothing but the dominant color from the average of colors in the image. It is nothing but the average color, nothing more, nothing less, the exact average color. So I'm going to extract out that average color and remove that average color from this image, so that hopefully will take away that muddy shade, muddy tint we have on this image. So to select the average color, one of the best methods I have is doing a pixelation blur. You have an option, a feature called pixelize under filters, blur. There you go, you have the pixelize option, and what this does is it just enlarges the image, enlarges each and every pixel by a scale, and that scale is determined by the pixel width and pixel height. So if I gave 25 pixel width and 25 pixel height, that one pixel is scaled up to 25. So it just enlarges the pixel like that. So it gives a pixelized look to our image. Our intention is, however, to select the average color among the pixels. So what I'm gonna do is just a simple solution to this. If you see here at the title bar, you can see the dimensions of the image: 1920 width and 1080 height. So I'm gonna use this as my pixel width and height to get the average color extracted using the pixelize tool. This is a sort of a hack, and I think this effectively works for our averaging of color. So this is one of the methods to pick out the average color from the image. So I'm just gonna give a pixel width of 1920, and I'm just gonna click on the pixel height box. It will automatically select the height for me. I'm just gonna click on OK. So I'll just wait for it to finish, and there you go, you have the average color extracted out. And as you can see, it's a kind of a muddish gray color which we need to be removed from the image. So with our average color selected, what I'm gonna do next is duplicate this white balance layer. I'm gonna name this as white balance color correction CC, and I'm gonna do the color correction on this layer. So with the average layer selected, I just go to colors and click on invert. So it will just take the opposite color of our average color, the exact opposite. So we have our color inverted. So the next thing we're going to do is somehow make this inverted color appear in this layer. To do that, with the average color selected, I'm gonna rename it to have opposite of average. So what do you call it? I just call it opposite of AVG. There you go. I just called it opposite of AVG. You know, these things are not necessary. You don't have to like rename all these layers. It's just it looks more meaningful when you do that. If you open up a previous project again and you look at these, for example, market.jpg, and if you have a market.jpg copy, market.jpg copy one, you don't exactly know what and all happened with these layers. By naming the layers, you can identify what you did with the image. For example, I took this layer to select out the gray point, so I aptly named it as gray. I did an auto white balancing with this layer. On top of auto white balancing, I did an automatic color correction, so that each and every layer has a meaning in this setup. So that is the only objective of naming the layers. It is just for clarity for the end user. If you're just editing the software to editing the image to get a final output, you don't have to go to each and every layer and name it separately. So moving on, I have the opposite of the average color. I want this color to be reflected in my image so that the average color is removed. We had a sort of muddish gray stain on our image, so we want to get it removed. So I'll just select that opposite of average, go to mode and click on overlay, and this will effectively give me a good color corrected image. So that is our final output. What we are going to do is go to layers, new from visible, and that is our final output. I'm going to call it manual white balance color corrected. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna delete this. I don't need this anymore. Delete that. Okay, I think we are done. We are done with our episode for today. So I'm just gonna compare this manual white balance color correction with our automatic white balance color correction. Here it comes. It looks so horrible, it looks so idiotic. That's the word, idiotic. Who in the right sense would want an image like this? Well, it's not somebody's problem. The image itself made the software think that this is the best color corrected image you can get. But manual perception differs from what the software can calculate by itself. So it's just a trade-off of innovation. You just always go with your perception to do the best. So this is our color corrected image. I do notice it just lacks a bit of saturation that you can adjust by going to colors, use saturation and pump up that saturation a bit. That would look good. Okay, that looks good. Okay, that is our manually color corrected image. I'm just going to compare this with the white balance. You see, the white balance, it had kind of a muddish tint to it. Now with the color correction, it looks way better. So that is how you do color correction and manual white balancing in GIMP. Hope you like this tutorial. And by the way, I didn't teach you how to save an image, so I think this is the right opportunity to teach you how to save an image and also export it. So saving an image is straightforward. Go to File, Save, and it will ask you the location and the name to save it. I'm gonna keep the name as market.xcf, and I'm gonna save it to my desktop, and just click on desktop, market.xcf. All looks good. And by the way, xcf is the extension for GIMP, for GIMP images. So just click on save and it gets saved. Okay, I have saved the project. You can see it has that market.xcf 2.0. It even shows a version number. Just good. The next thing I'm going to do is save this image as a JPEG file and a PNG file, which are the popular file formats used worldwide. So I'm just gonna save it as a JPEG file first. So I'll just go to File and click on Export. In the export option, I have many options in this. Just click that and select JPEG image. By the way, the JPEG image itself has 3 extensions which we can use: .jpg, .jpeg, .jpe. So it leads to an ambiguous condition, so we have to manually enter the extension ourselves. So just click on the JPEG image and change the name to market.jpg or jpeg or jpe, whatever you feel like. I'm just gonna give it as market.jpg and click on export. Now it's asking me for quality. I'm just gonna give a quality. I'm just gonna leave it there at 90. And if I check the advanced option, I have options to optimize it. You can adjust the smoothing, subsampling. It is right now set to best quality. I don't have to do anything. And DCT method, I don't know what that is. Anyway, if I want any comments, I can just type any comments there and just click on export, and it will save the file as a JPEG image. So if I look at my desktop, I have it right over here. Next thing is a PNG file. I just go to File, Export as, select PNG from the options. There you go, you have only one option, but anyway, it's good to rename it so that we don't have any accidental JPEGs created. So just name it as market.png and click on export. Here I have some options. Do I need interlacing? Nope, I just leave it there. Save background color, save gamma, save resolution. You have something called compression level. So if you want to reduce the size of your images, that is the way to go. So it looks pretty standard. Click on export. It takes a bit of a time, bit longer than JPEG. And one difference between JPEG and PNG images is that JPEG does not support transparency. You will never have a transparent image with the JPEG format, while PNG does support transparency. So if you want to create icons or anything with a transparent background, PNG is the way to go. If it's between JPEG and PNG, always choose PNG for it supports transparency. If you don't need any transparency, then JPEG will do. So I think that's for. There you go. I have market.png, so I have all these 3 files. So that is how you save images in GIMP. Hope you like this tutorial, and we are at the end of this tutorial. Until next time, bye.